Alright, here we go. Today we're going to paint a reindeer gnome. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take his mustache here. I'm going to line it up where I want it. You always want to be sure on these to make sure you cover what's on bottom. Of course, on the mustache it wouldn't be as bad, but on some things you just don't want them to show. And I usually design these top pieces to be a little larger than what's on bottom. And that's on purpose so it won't show through. I'm going to lay that where I want it, and I'm just going to simply take a pencil and follow the line of the shape. I'm going to do it on top and kind of on bottom, like so. And I'm doing that so when I actually glue it on there, it will line up where I want it. Okay. In this particular case, I normally paint Christmas stuff. Sorry, I've got to get one of my expensive paint palettes here. I normally paint Christmas stuff, your typical Christmas colors. But in this case, I think I'm going to string these little lights on his antlers and glue them on. And they're not really, I got them off Amazon, and they're not really true Christmas colors. They've got hot pink and like a lime green, orange, silver, gold, and turquoise. And so for his hat on this one, I'm going to use this electric lime color by Delta. Okay, let's see here. We're just going to base coat his hat. Where did I put my water? Oh, over there. Okay. As long as I've got it out here. We're just going to put a quick coat of base coat on his hat. In the lime green. Kind of like this color actually. Just for something different. And I'm using an angle brush here. I still have not gone and gotten any brushes, but I will. Maybe this weekend I'll get the urge to. I don't go out much anymore, just because after getting that really super bad case of COVID, I'm a little paranoid. I'm not saying I don't go out at all, but I just don't a lot. And typically I do online orders, even groceries, and have them sent to my house. Unless it's a small order, I'll go into, there's a couple of local small stores that I'll run into. Now I'm just painting the sides of this because that's my preference. But anyway, I don't like to order brushes online because sometimes there might be a bristle messed up. I like to pick those out in person. So I'm going to go into Michael's or Hobby Lobby and grab some. I typically go during the week when I do that because it's not as busy, but I just haven't this week. I've been procrastinating, and I really need some new brushes, like really bad. Get in there the best I can. This big old brush. Actually, I think I got it. All right, we're going to let that dry for just a minute. Rinse my brush off here. Grab a paper towel. And sorry, I'm shaking the camera. I don't mean to do that. I just like to get the paint really out of those brushes. Okay, now we're going to use a little bit of Spice Brown. You can tell I use this color a lot. And I'm going to paint his antlers. And I think I'm going to paint his shoes Spice Brown. So, move my water up there. Grab my little hemostats here. Okay, let's scoot this over and lay this down a little bit. I use these hemostats all the time for holding stuff. They just make really great little holders. And there we go. I'm going to quickly paint the sides. These should be quick little fun ornaments, really. I bet we can probably paint it in less than 30 minutes. And if you were painting a bunch, it'd probably go a lot quicker. Especially, this is the first one of these I've done. Do the same thing with this antler. And no, I don't mind getting paint on my hands. Just after a while, I look like I've been in a paint fight. So I've gotten to where I just try to use these little hemostats and get the paint on them instead of me. I still usually, I'm a messy crafter. I still usually end up with stuff on me, but I went in the house the other day and my husband was like, there's something black all over your face. I guess somehow I'd gotten paint on my hand and wiped on my face, and I had black paint all over me. I said, well, that's just how it goes. Now I do, when I paint the sides, you normally get some little blobs on the top. So I normally, at the end of painting the sides, I do typically go back over the top with the brush, just to make sure I'm smoothing all that out. And this one, I noticed that I missed that tip, which I knew I did because that's where my hemostats were. We'll go back there, and then I'm going to grab 1 foot. Two feet. And then I'm going to grab a second foot. My son should be getting home from college soon. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's like yesterday he was little bitty. I don't know, it's too fast. I know everybody says that to you, but then when it actually happens to you, it's really too fast. Okay. I am going to paint his little nose. In this case, I'm using, today we're going to use natural beige as the flesh tone. Sometimes I use spice brown, sometimes I use territorial beige. I use different colors for the flesh tone because we've all got different colored flesh. For me, I need to use a pale color with red splotches. I've got the splotchiest red skin. Okay. Now I'm going to set that down. I'm going to kind of spin him around, grab the other side, so I can go ahead and get a... These might all require a second coat. I usually do. But I like to let them dry just a little bit in between. Now we're going to move on to his beard here. For the base color of the beard, I'm going to use a a gray. I have enough in here. And oh, I do. Okay, so it's not wanting to come out. This is at the end of its bottle, and it's being slow. Okay. I need to get some more of this. It's rain gray. See, I've already got paint all over me. Rain gray by Ceramcoat. It's a good. I like this color of gray. Now I'm going to use kind of a in-between angle brush. And don't use these angle brushes as good. The way angle brushes should work, because these, like I said, they need to be replaced. But his beard's kind of swooping off. I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of swooping off to me to the right. And so I'm going to just kind of follow along the line I drew. And paint this. Just a quick base coat of the gray. Go along the sides. The best I can. These little sides are hard to get into. Oh, I think I got it pretty good. Okay. To me, it just looks more finished when you either paint the side or stain the side, or that's just my own preference. It also helps, most laser items, when you get them, have a smoke smell, and it's where it's burned the wood. And this will make that smell go away, because it's along the edge that's actually causing the smell. Okay, so we got that kind of base coated, and we're going to go ahead and do his mustache. I typically use either 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, or even inch angle brushes. I use those a lot. I feel like if you turn it on its side, and it's a good one, which these weren't bad ones, I've just used them so long and worn them out. But if you turn it on its side, you can get a really good straight line with it, typically, when it's in good working order. And I feel like you have more control with the angle brushes. Now that's just me, but okay. Okay. Now we're going to come back with, if I can find where I put it, the white. And we're going to use the white and the gray this time. First thing I'm going to do is go over the gray again, just so it gets a second coat, and I need it to be wet to do what I'm fixing to do, or at least damp. Now in this case, I'm going to kind of follow the way I feel like the beard goes. And I'm going to take this white, and I'm going to pull it this way. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to worry. Just lay your brush down and pull it. And you might pull most of the color out and go back. That's just the way I do it. I want to get up kind of higher because I don't know how high up that goes. But see how I've done it 3 or 4 times, and I'll pull it out, and then if I like the way it looks, I'll leave it. And you just keep doing that until you get, and I'm just using an angle brush, and it's an old one at that. Okay, I think I kind of like that. Now for his beard, or for his mustache, we're going to do something similar. We're going to paint it gray again, so it'll be damp. If you don't do this while it's damp, you end up with just really strict lines, like harsh lines, and that's not really what you want for this particular thing. Now, you know, most mustaches split up the middle like that, so I'm going to take this angle brush on its side and I'm going to make that split, and I'm going to go off to one side, and then I'm going to come to this other side and I'm going to make that split. That's a little too much white for me. I'm going to come down here, and I'm barely putting pressure on the piece, but just enough to where it's leaving some white. And I'm going to leave that, I think, just like that. Well, maybe a little more on this side. Just a hair more. Not that much. Okay. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, yeah, that's good. Now I'm going to leave that kind of like that, and I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to go back. Y'all, please forgive me if I sneeze on camera. The weather is changing here, and I've had a headache all day and I've been fighting sinus stuff for a few days, but today's been my headache day. Okay, I'm going to go back and put a second coat on the tops. Of all of this. And I just painted that one. One of these is upside down, so we're going to flip. No, wait. Do I have it right? Oh, I do have it right. Okay, I just had it backwards. I thought I had gotten one upside down. Okay, so we got our second coat on all of that. Put a second coat on his nose. Sometimes when you paint this birch, it gets a little, it'll raise. It's with any wood really, because it just raises the little fuzzies, I call them. And so before I put this second coat on this, I'm going to take a little piece of sandpaper and just run it over it to get rid of those fuzzies. Okay. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's not like you're going to sit there and have to sand every piece. But it just smooths it out, I guess. Spin that around. Make sure I get good coverage on his nose and the side of his nose. Lay that down, and I think that can use a little sanding and maybe another coat. So I'm going to do the same thing with the green. Like I said, it really does not take much of anything. And it's not all the time. I think it just depends on the piece of wood you get. But I'm going to put another coat of that green on there. Now you could go in here and make this little hat just as detailed as you wanted. You could highlight, shade, all that stuff, because you can tell it has different levels to it, I guess you'd call them. I can do a little bit to show you, but I'm trying to show you the quickest way. And this will be fairly quick. You can take the white and just bring it in where you think they would meet. Like in this case, I think it would go kind of like that. I'm still using my angle brush. You don't have to do a lot, or you can do, where it's really bright. For me, I don't care for those super stark differences. So I'm going to go back with my green and pull some of that out. I was just showing you what you could do. And that just gives it a little depth. And then that'll kind of dry. Well, it won't kind of dry, it will dry. And I'm going to put a little more white up here. And that's it. That gives you depth in his hat, but not taking a lot of time to do it, if that makes sense. And when you're doing these for shows and stuff, you want to spend, you want to be able to do them as quick as you can. Now, I am going to start gluing some of this stuff on. Today I'm using the Gorilla Super Glue Gel. Normally I use, I believe it's Loctite, and it's got a brush, and that's my favorite. Sorry, I had to grab a drink. I like this one just fine. They were out of the one that I usually get, but this one has seemed to work pretty good. If you have trouble with your squeezing ability, which I do, this one's not as good because it's a little bit harder to get out. Now I'm just going to kind of place this where I painted that line so it will cover up number one, the beard below, and any of the gray on top there. Just where I drew the line. Oh, I got a little glue out from underneath there. Put too much glue on there. Okay. So we're going to put that right there. See if his nose is, yep, I believe it's dry enough. We're going to put his nose kind of centered here. Now, I'm not going to match it up. You can. It'll match up. Well, I will for this one, since I already stuck it there. Kind of, once you glue it, you're there. All right. Now, you don't want to put glue all the way up his ears because, or his antlers, because they're not all going to be on there for the whole way. Actually, I'm going to do his shoes first because his hat's not quite dry enough. Do one little shoe here. And another little shoe here. Okay. And now I'm probably going to glue up to right before his first little antler there. So I'm going to put a line of glue like right there. And that's just because I don't want the whole thing glued. Let's see. We're going to do the same thing over here. Okay, let me grab a couple of my pins here. Anybody that knows me knows I use those things religiously. They're Posca pins. I really like them. They work great if you use a spray can of sealer, or if you, let's see, I use the type that you can put in an air compressor, you know, and do big stuff, because I usually do yard art. But if you paint your sealer on, you don't want to use these. They do tend to bleed sometimes. If you spray your sealer on, they won't. Just make sure everything's good and glued. Now we're going to put on a little detail, and he's going to be done. And when I say detail, I'm basically, for the most part, just going to follow along the outer edge. Got a little much there. I'm going to go back and touch that up. My pen was running loose. Usually when I'm doing the edges, I use the bigger one, believe it or not, the PC3M, because it's wide enough to where I can lay it on the side, basically. So only half of the tip is on the piece, and I just feel like I have more control with it. That's personal. You use what's best for you. A Sharpie would work good for this. But I just kind of follow along the edge. And this, I can't get that close with that one, so I'm going to use this guy. That just kind of helps define it. And if you go in a little in spots, it's okay. They're just ornaments. It's not life or death. They don't have to be perfect. For so long, I worried about, you know, oh, that line's just a hair crooked, or this is, nope, no more. And not only have I been happier, I actually feel like the stuff comes out better usually. Not always, but usually. When I don't worry so much. But just continue outlining. And then we'll add a couple of highlights, and we're going to pretty much be done with this one. I'll show you how I do the lights, but I won't actually glue them on yet, only because this guy hasn't been sealed. And I want to seal him first before I glue the lights on. Okay. We're almost done here. sorry, it is kind of hard to talk and concentrate on some of this. Okay. Now I'm going to go back with this tiny one. It's called a PC1MR pen type. And as you can see, it's got a T90. Let's see if I can get it in the camera. T90 tip, which is great to go back and get up to the corners. I use it for if I'm doing stuff on top, like if I want to make this line a little straighter where his nose is, or I use it for my dotting, like if I wanted to put black dots on his hat, I could use it for that. I don't typically use it on the edges because I feel like my hand slips with it because I don't have as much control. But now that is just me. Okay, so we got a little reindeer gnome here. And what I would do, or what I will do next to him, is I'm going to take a white one. If you get these pens, be sure and store them on their sides, laying like this. Mine have lasted really well that way. I'm just going to go through here and add some random highlights. I'm going to highlight his nose, and then maybe the tops of his shoes. And I think I'm going to call that done. Except for our little lights, and we'll see how much we're going to need here. I'm going to get a little bit longer than that so I can wrap it around some. Let me clip these little puppies off. And what I'm basically going to do, well, not basically, what I am going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to start at the back, and I'm going to glue probably either one of the bulbs onto the back, and then I'm just going to kind of wrap it how it would naturally flow until I get to where I can glue a bulb either on the front or the back. And then I'll, if I don't like how one of the bulbs is hanging, I may pull it to adjust or put some more in there to fill it in, just to give him some more funness for Christmas. And I'll glue that on, and that'll be it. So thank you guys for watching again. I appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed our little reindeer gnome.